Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It's Tom. Got a lot to talk about today. Going to use some notes to get through it all. I have so much to tell you. Let's start off with online stamp. We have launched that. We've actually received a lot of online applications, and in fact I think our numbers have already increased 12% thanks to the online portal in terms of the number of applications we received. We've also seen that a much higher percentage of those applications are coming in as expedited applications. So we need to make sure, and I appreciate your helping us to get those applications registered and dealt with just as soon as possible, preferably in that first day. But I think in the long run, as we work through this perhaps wave of applications, we're going to find that this process makes our jobs easier and improves our customer service for the people of Georgia. I also want to talk a little bit about a really great program that I haven't really highlighted here. I may have mentioned it in the past, but it's called the Multidisciplinary Child Abuse and Neglect Institute. This is something that has been a collaboration really since 2017 or so between our agency and the Supreme Court Committee on Justice for Children, really under the leadership of Jerry Bruce and Judge Mike Key. And since 2017, this group has gone around the state in a truly multidisciplinary fashion, having really 2-day intensive workshops that involve our SAGs, our child and parent attorneys, our case managers, the judge, and really a group from each local area, a truly multidisciplinary court-based team. And they are going through the process of explaining how to handle a case from the time of removal through the first 75 days, through the initial review hearing, in a very intensive manner. And I think that's been a great learning experience, because not only are we able to exchange information in this multidisciplinary format, but we're also able to really look at how each local jurisdiction is handling these issues and make improvements. We're actually in the process of doing an MD County planning for round 2, which is going to cover other aspects of handling a dependency case. But I really want to encourage y'all, if you have not participated in an MD County in your jurisdiction, that you talk to Jerry Bruce at the Committee on Justice for Children, and Ramirez will put up his email address, so that perhaps your jurisdiction can participate in what is a great learning experience on how to handle the court part of our case in the best way possible. I guess the third thing I want to talk about is our State of Hope. We're of course looking at round 3. We should have the applications up, and we'll have an application period open in probably later this month or maybe in early March. We want to encourage those who have participated in our State of Hope program in the past couple of years to remain engaged. We want to make sure that we are perhaps giving some of our organizations that are already participating the ability to step up their game and obtain funding if they did not obtain funding before, perhaps to expand some of their programs. And of course, we're always wanting to encourage new folks in the local community to come into this work. The more that we can encourage the creation of local community initiatives to address the needs of the families and children that we serve, the better off we are as a state and as a society. And I also want to, of course, encourage you to stay tuned, to look out for that application opportunity. And of course, we have a State of Hope page on the DFACS website that Ramirez will link to. I want to encourage you to take a look at that too. Third thing I want to talk about, or I don't know, number 3 or number 4 now, I'm not sure. Oh, I'm on number 4, Ramirez says, is going back to the issue of our efforts as an agency, not only on the child welfare side, but really generally. But certainly we know that our child welfare workers in particular who are out there in the field often deal with a lot of burnout. We've learned that from our comprehensive organizational health assessment that we have what's called a Copenhagen burnout scale, and a lot of our workers kind of are on the verge of that. Why? Because this is hard work. It is difficult. We are, of course, working to make that work easier by reducing the administrative paperwork things you're having to do and giving you more time to work with families face to face, do that joyful, meaningful interaction with families that really gives your work more purpose. But there are a couple of interesting things that were brought to my attention in terms of the root causes of burnout. Really, unfair treatment at work, the feeling that you're not being treated fairly, having an unmanageable workload, not being sure of really what your job is, lack of clarity in your role, lack of communication and support from your manager, and of course unreasonable time pressure. And we as an organization need to make sure that we are focused on addressing these issues. We need to make sure that we are giving folks an opportunity to feel heard on the front lines, or if you're a supervisor of anyone, make sure your employees hear you, make sure you're listening to them, speaking up if you're an employee who feels that you feel some burnout coming on and you need support. And we, of course, will continue to work to address that issue because we know this is really emotionally draining work at times. It can also be very emotionally fulfilling. And we need to make sure that we're doing all that we can to enhance the positive aspects of this work and try to make your lives easier by simplifying and getting rid of some of those administrative burdens. Let's see, what else we got to talk about? Just kind of want to remind everybody that we are in the legislative season, as I said. We have a lot going on. There's going to be things coming up every day. It seems like every day there's a different group at the Capitol. Some days they want to talk about mental health. So we have a big CASA day at the Capitol this week. The Voices for Georgia's Children is having a day at the Capitol this week, I believe. This past week, the Georgia Public Human Service Association and the Georgia State Retirees Association had a day at the Capitol. So it's really the opportunity not only to really get some policy work done and get some legislative work done and make our budget, but this is also a time of year when folks get to come up here and talk to their legislators and tell them what's on their mind. So if you see opportunities to do that, I want to encourage you to let your legislators know what's going on with you and what you see as the needs in your community. And that's about it. I think it's probably enough for today. Hope you'll have a great rest of your week. Try to, well, I would say stay warm, but one day it's monsoon season and 70 degrees, and the next day it's snowing. So let's just put it this way. Stay in the house. I'll see y'all next week.